Hello, welcome to my Thursday afternoon 2 o'clock. Excuse me, I just had a big drink of water, so I'm burping a bit. Welcome to my Thursday afternoon Facebook Live, making a card. I haven't been here for 2 weeks. I've been away on school holidays with my family, enjoying some time off from card making, but now I'm back into it and feel like I've got lots of videos that I want to make with things that are just waiting on my desk for me to share with you. Today my card is a floating something card. It's a floating card. So these strips of paper are meant to look like they're floating. And this was one of the ones we had at our recent retreat day. So I have featured for it the stunningly gorgeous Earthen Elegance designer series paper, which goes with the earthen textures, stamp set and bundle, and combining that with very vanilla and pecan pie. I think pecan pie is one of the brand new colours in our new colour refresh, and I think it's actually one of my favourites out of the new colour offerings. I just really, mind you, I always was a huge fan of soft suede, and I really loved the baked brown sugar we had a few years ago. So pecan pie just fulfills all of those needs for me. Okay, so vanilla and pecan pie go very nicely together. So I've got my two mats for my two panels. Two panels for stamping. Here's my bit of window sheet, which helps create the magic of the floating strips. There's my strips, and then these two pieces are for stamping and punching out the lovely layering leaves. This stamp set coordinates very nicely with the bow punch. They're a lovely duo, and I do really like the layering leaves, the greetings in the layering leaves stamp set, the sending hugs, thinking of you. Thank you so much. So happy to celebrate you. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, this little bit of tissue paper here, is how the window sheet comes packaged is with the tissue paper in between the sheets to prevent scratching. So I am going to sort of leave it on a bit in the background so I can see what I'm doing, because it's pretty hard to see the window sheet. And I've got all my strips here of the Earthen Elegance designer series paper. Now all of these ones here coordinate very nicely with the pecan pie ink, which is why I chose them, of course. But the other sides of the designer series paper have some other really lovely colours too. Misty Moonlight and Pretty Peacock. And what's this colour here? Goodness gracious. Fresh Fuchsia? I'm not sure. I'd have to have a look in the catalogue. No, Moody Mauve. Goodness gracious. I was just having a little brain spasm there for a minute. So I'm going to use the brown colours because I do like brown. I am a brown. I do like brown tones. I like earthy colours in my clothing. And I really like earthy and vintage sort of style. So what I'm going to do is start by putting each of these, one at the top and one at the bottom. I'm just going to use my seal to run it along each of the strips. So I'm going to do one at the top and one at the bottom. That way that will help me decide how so I can take that away now. So now I can see the edges of my window sheet. So decide how I layer these, and then maybe I'll use one for about the middle, and then I can sort of space each of the strips evenly so that they look sort of evenly. So if I just eyeball this, I could use my grid paper. Grid paper is a great tool to use to do something like this. I just haven't got it on my desk at the minute. So, and then one here. There There we go. And the last one. There's a really beautiful video I saw of how this paper was put together, and the artist who created it actually did pottery, and this one is sort of the glaze on the pottery being dribbled over the side there. So there you go. So that's the first part. I've got my strips done. Let's do some stamping now. I'll pull in all my vanilla pieces. It's also my stamping piercing mat. So that, and the first bit of stamping I'm going to do is just something on the front is to put for you. So open up my pecan pie, ink it up, and put. So this card can be used for all sorts of occasions. There we go, for you, right there. I'll clean that one off. So that's all of the stamping for the front. For the inside of my card, I've got So Happy to Celebrate You and some leaves. So I'll get So Happy to Celebrate You onto a block and this leaf onto another block. There we go. And stamp my greeting, pop that in the middle to So Happy to Celebrate You, and then my leaf around the outside edges just to embellish that greeting. Okay, one down here and another, and then perhaps one more at the top. There we go, and I've got a little splodge here from having too much ink on my block. I need to wipe that off. So going to do another bit of stamping just over the top of that to camouflage my splodge. And then the last bit of stamping, while we've got our stamping mat here, I'm going to stamp some leaves for punching. So the leaf stamp coordinates perfectly with the bow punch, as I said. And the rule of thumb is usually always stamp first and then punch. I'm getting the punch here face up so I can see which way my stamp goes. And then I'll stamp on my piece of paper exactly like the punch so that I know that it will line up perfectly when I punch it out. There we go. Close up my ink pad, move this away, undo my punch and punch out my leaves. Here we are. And see how beautifully that lines up. Very nice. There one. And two. Thank you everyone who's joining me today. I hope you're enjoying my presentation, what I have to offer you. This month we have some pretty gorgeous specials, a pretty fun promotion actually. It's called Bonus Days, where for every $90 you spend this month, you receive a $9 voucher that you can use next month. Now, I haven't done my costings, but I think if you bought the punch and the stamp set, you'd be pretty close to getting yourself a voucher for next month, especially if you added in, say, a bit of ink or envelopes or some cardstock. Okay, let's start putting our card together. I've got the front here. And both of my pieces of cardstock are exactly the same size to make it easy for me when I'm assembling my card. So that I've got one for inside and one for the front, both layered on some pecan pie. Put the inside one inside the card. Here we go, like that. And then this one for the front of my card, 1, 2. Oops, better make sure I don't put it upside down. And then I'm going to put on my stripy panel, and I am going to use on the back of this some dimensionals. Just have to reach over here to get some, sorry about that. Right behind the stripes so that you don't see them. I'm just lining up the edges of the dimensionals there so they're hidden behind the stripes of paper. There we go. And pull these over here. There you go. All right. Pop that there. You can also, if you like, die cut a shape with your floating frames too, with your window sheet and paper. But I really like the subtlety of the square, and it's nice and quick and simple to do. All right, I'm going to add my punched branches in a cluster just near my greeting there. And the quickest and easiest way to do that is to use a mini glue dot. I love mini glue dots. They work so well. And on the top of all of them, I'm going to add some linen thread as the finishing touch. One more. Is that enough? No, I think we should probably have. I punched out a lot more than I needed when I just made sure I used up all of the cardstock. So I've got some spares for maybe another project or for inside my card. There we go. And I've got I think I've got 2 pieces of linen thread here. So I'm going to make a double bow. Just give them a nice big, smoothen them out, because linen thread's always got a curly line to it all. That might be a bit too long. I wonder, here's a challenge for you. I wonder if I can do one with 4 strands. Tie a bow out of all of those. There we go. And make it much smaller, but it'll be a fuller bow. What do we think of that? And then trim off these ones here. Maybe shorten those. And then with the mini glue dots again, add my bow right there at the apex, the juncture of all of those leaves. There we go. And last of all, some pastel sequins. I have found these pastel sequins go with almost everything I'm creating. I want to put another one just down there, and then one up here. I think that might be enough. And I don't think I will use those on the inside of my card, but I've got some spare if I want to make another card later. There, what do you think? Do you like the fuller bow with lots more layers, or the long lanky one? Actually, both of them look nice in their own right, really. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you can join me again next Thursday at 2 o'clock for my Facebook Live. Bye bye now. See you next time.